Hello guys and welcome. This is Gambrous and I am going to be playing Kerbal Space Program. This is going to be a new series I'm starting. It's going to be a solo series, so I've never really done a solo series before, so I hope it doesn't seem too bad. But yeah, I'm going to give it a go. This game is amazing. I love it because I'm one of these guys who really loves space and sci-fi and all that, and just for me to have this game as a space simulator, I guess, like a space project simulator, I love it. The physics in this game probably what get me going the most. Actually, it's not proper physics in terms of it's not like actual real world physics, but it's good. It takes into account gravity and atmosphere and all these other different things, and it really makes it fun. So, for those of you who don't know really what Kerbal Space Program is about, basically the game is a space program simulator where the whole idea is to launch probes, rockets, do missions to moons and eventually other planets and stuff. So you got to basically build a rocket that has enough fuel to get it off the ground and into orbit, and at the same time, you know, you got to try not to have too much fuel because the more fuel adds weight and stuff like that. So it's all about getting a rocket into space and to various different destinations. But yeah, let's just start a new game. So I'm going to do a sandbox. There's 3 different options here. There's Career, Science and Sandbox. Sandbox is, as you'd imagine, you have no budget, you can just pick everything is already open to you in the game already. It's just about, you know, flying and stuff like that. You don't really have to unlock anything. It's not so much story mode. And some of you may be asking why I'm going to be doing a sandbox game for recording. It's mainly because I am terrible at the game. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm not good at this game at all. So Science and Career would be here a long time before I'm actually able to do anything close like an orbital mission, let alone going to other moons or planets or whatnot. It would just probably wouldn't happen. I'd probably give up on the series before I even got that far. So that's why I'm going to do Sandbox. It's a little bit more versatile. We have access to everything we have already. So yeah, that's good. Important thing to note as well, guys, just before we get further into this, I am not using mods. There are loads and loads and loads of really good mods, and I might start using them later on if the series, you know, gets that far. I'm just sort of testing the water here a little bit. But yeah, the Kerbal Space Program is a great modding community, and most people play with at least 1 or 2 mods. This is purely the core version of the game that I'm playing here, guys. So anything I do, you can get it if you buy Kerbal Space Program. It'll all be there for you. So the different modes. We're starting with Sandbox. What I'm going to be doing. There are these other 2. Now Career is basically you start from the ground up. So you have a very limited stuff you can do, and then you have to unlock all your different stuff as you go along. So you have to get funding and different things. It says reputation there as well. I'm not 100% sure what the reputation's about. Maybe you can only use certain companies because there's different companies, so different companies give you better engines, so maybe you need to get a better reputation before these companies start selling you pieces. I'm not 100% sure on that. Science, I do know about. That's basically you've got a progression in science, so you'll start off obviously with something really crappy, like some sort of one-man pod and stuff, and like a really bad engine. And then you do science missions, and as you do more science, you get more science points to try to unlock better technology in a sense, to, you know, get yourself a better rocket, so better engines, better pods, better fuel tanks, all this different kind of stuff. Yeah, that is a very progressive style. Like I said, the reason why I'm not doing it is because I'm not very good at the game. And science is basically like the old career mode before this version came out. The old career mode basically just used to be, it's like the current career mode is now, just take everything like the funding and reputation out, you just got science. It says there actually, funds and reputation are disabled. Contracts are not available. This is the previously classic career mode. And in this, all you've got to do is you start without funding and everything, and you can build the rockets as much as you like, but you have to unlock the pieces. So you still have to do missions to, well, I say missions, so they're kind of like self-imposed missions where you've got to do science and research to unlock different engines and fuel tanks and stuff like that. So we're just going to call this save the recording save. Let's just call it recording. And we'll choose a flag. I've not actually chosen a different flag for it. You've got NASA there. Pretty cool. There's a Kerbin flag, that might be one. I think, so we just go down here. Ooh, I don't know actually. That one looks pretty cool, but it looks like it might be like an actual company flag. I don't really want to do that per se. Yeah, you know what? I think we're gonna go with the Kerbin flag. Looks pretty. Yeah, we'll go Kerbin flag. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. So that basically means whenever we get somewhere new, we can plant a flag, and that's the kind of flag we'll come up with. I haven't. You can actually, I think, add your own flags, like your own pictures to become flags. I haven't done that. All right, so this is your basic kind of. I don't really know what to call this screen, I guess, for lack of a better word. So you've got all your different facilities here. A lot of these you can't actually use, like research and development. We're in sandbox. There's no point in having that. It's particularly science. And over here, oh no, we can access that building. We'll come back to that actually. Yeah, that is a building we can access. There's a few buildings you can't access. What's this? This is astronaut complex. I think you can access that. I think actually you can access all of this except from research and development. Anyway, the buildings we're going to be mainly taking into account is this, the vehicle assembly building. And this, although we very rarely will actually get to it from this screen, this is the launch pad. And these buildings, basically, you build the rocket in there and you launch it from there. That's pretty standard. The other building that we will be using a fair bit of when we get into the game is this tracking station. The reason why is because if I click on it again, because we've already been in here, this allows you to see a map. So there's the planet Kerbin, and you can see there's the Mun. If we go further out, you can see there's the orbit of the moon Minmus, there it is. And then you can go further out again, and now you see the Kerbal systems and various unknown objects there. And there's another planet there, it's Eve. I think that's the closest planet. I think that's closer than Duna. Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure that is the closest planet to Kerbin. There's Duna. So this is very roughly a representation of our solar system, really. Kerbin, like Earth, is the third planet from the Sun, which is Kerbol. Obviously our Sun is called Sol. You've got Moho here, which is basically Mercury, and then Eve is obviously Venus, and then Duna is Mars, and I think that might be Dres. Dres is, I'm pretty sure Dres is not like, I'm pretty sure none of these planets are gas giants. I could be wrong in that, but I don't think there's an equivalent of the gas giants, so I think these might just be larger planets further out. Though Jewel, although it is not a gas giant, it does kind of have some sort of similarities to both Jupiter and Neptune? Yeah, Neptune. Yeah, Jupiter and Neptune. Neptune because it actually has an overlapping orbit with a different planet, which you see here, Eeloo, which is basically Kerbal's version of Pluto. And so that's why it's kind of like Neptune, because Neptune in our solar system shares an overlapping orbit with the dwarf planet Pluto. And also Jewel has, I think, the only other moon/planet in existence that has an air kind of atmosphere. I mean, all the planets have atmospheres, but like a proper atmosphere like Kerbal. So an atmosphere where like the Kerbals could take off their suits and everything and still be okay. I think there's a moon orbiting Jewel. See, I'm not sure if we can get into the Jewel system. Can we? Oh yeah, focus Jewel. There we go. If we zoom in here, there's some moons here. It's Lathe, I think, is the moon. So this one here, if you zoom in, see it's got like continents and actually looks like an archipelago, but it basically has a nitrogen oxygen kind of atmosphere. So yeah, enough of that anyway. Zoom out from that, and let's set our target back to Kerbin, which is over here. That's an unknown object. Let's zoom in a bit. There we go. There's Kerbin. So let's go back there. And we zoom back in again, and there we go. So this is the mission control, and basically the reason why we're going to be using this is because all our missions that we have ongoing will be up there. So if we launch a space station, stuff like that, that's where we will see it from this mission control. Alright, so let's jump into the vehicle assembly buildings. I realise I've done a lot of talking and not actually played the game a lot here. So here we go, let's jump in here. Alright, so this is the vehicle assembly building. This is where you build your rockets. And yeah, so what we're going to do is we're just going to do a very simple orbital mission just to get us off the ground. So you have to pick one of these first. You can't, select, you can't put anything else in. Look, I'm trying. See, oh actually you can. I didn't realise that. Okay. But you wouldn't, it's red, it's not gonna, you wouldn't be able to launch that. It's not actually there, kind of, basically. you have to start off one of these pods. So what we got here is the various different mash of landing pods, normal rocket pods. There's an actual external command seat there, which is, I don't know why you'd want that. And then there's also some cockpits for various space planes. I don't particularly like space planes because I'm not that good at them, but we will have a go at them, particularly if we plan on doing a mission to Lathe, because as I say, it's got the atmosphere on Lathe is pretty much exactly the same as the atmosphere on Kerbin, sorry, which means a space plane would really work well on Lathe. So we may think about making one for if we go to Lathe. But other than that, we probably tend to ignore them because there's not really that much fun you can have with them. The only thing that you can do with them is make a shuttle, which obviously has advantages. And in real life, the shuttles have actually stopped now. They were really used up until really recently. And the whole point of them, the reason why they were used is because they landed like a plane. But obviously they took off strapped to a rocket like a normal rocket. So what we're going to do here is we're going to pick a normal command pod Mark 1. This is your bread and butter command pod. It's literally, it's like the first command pod I think you have in science and career mode. It's literally the lowest level thing. It's what you have, it's what you do. It's literally the building block of all the basic rockets. So we're going to have that. And let's get that out of here. So this holds one Kerbal. And as you can see now, that, as it is, cannot just, damn it. I can't select it now. No. Okay, right. I've really messed up here. I don't know how to undo this. Hello? Alright, let's exit that. Just, go back here, go back into this. Okay, right, sorry. I don't know what I did there. I messed that up a little bit. So here you go, here's your command pod. Now, if we move this up here, we're not anticipating huge rockets, so we won't go all the way up. Like, this thing goes up pretty high. You can make pretty high rockets here, look. We're going to keep it about here. It's just going to be a little orbit. That's all we're going to do. We're going to basically make a craft that can get into orbit and get out of orbit again. So we don't really have to worry about EVAs. We may do an EVA more up there, but we don't have to worry about landing gear or anything. So this should be fine as it is. Now we're going to give it some propulsion and a fuel tank. You can get these different tanks here, the Kerbidine and the Rockomax tanks. These are for larger rockets. Let me just show you. This is the Rockomax. See, that's, I mean, that's huge. The Kerbidine tanks are even bigger still. See, they're big. They are for, serious missions. We're just doing a little orbital mission, and for this little pod, we're going to want the Jebediah Kerman junkyard space company thing. We're going to want their tanks. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to give it one of these FLT 400 tanks. I'm just going to pop that on there, and we're going to give it a little engine. We don't want the Rockomax engines, we want the Jebediah engines, so that's like these ones. And there's the nuclear engine. That's a pretty good engine actually. This stage, by the way, I should probably mention, this stage is going to be space stage, so we don't have to worry about having too much thrust in this stage because it's already going to be in orbit. So we could add something like, not that, that's too small. We could add either this LV909 engine or the atomic engine. Doesn't really matter, to be perfectly honest. This engine's a bit heavier. We'll go with this little liquid fuel engine here. So that's our orbital stage. We're not going to fire that until we're in orbit. Really and truthfully, this is a bit OTT. We don't really need this bit. We should just be able to do it on one stage, but that's just a little bit of insurance. One thing you can do, by the way, this has an SAS, which basically is like a computer which controls it. You can add more SAS, but just for this stage, I'm not going to have any more SASs. So we're going to go to structural now, and we're going to put a decoupler, which allows you to separate your different stages. In fact, I always forget this, we're going to put a decoupler on the pod before it has any fuel tanks below it, and then that's going to have another decoupler under there. There we go. And before I forget, we're going to give this thing a parachute so it can actually land without the Kerbals dying. So we'll just find the parachutes. That's a good parachute. We'll go with that. Ooh, that's a big parachute. So that. that even... I don't know if this will be good enough. I think it should, yeah, that should be alright. Yeah, so that's its parachute. It's pretty good. Now if we spin around, where's the crew hatch? This thing does have a crew hatch, doesn't it? Oh, there it is. Look, you see the ladder for the Kerbals. Alright, so we're focusing on it already. It's not really that important a game. I may do some EVAs, I'm not going to do anything major, and besides which, we're going to be putting stuff not on the crew hatch anyway, we're going to be down here. But one thing I am going to do is I'm going to give this an RCS tank. It's just like a bigger tank. Oh, it's too big. Is there an in-between tank? That one? Yeah, that's the one. This just basically allows you to have like little thrusters to help you maneuver and stuff, and it's pretty decent for that. And we're going to give it some RCS thrusters, which I think are under control. Yeah, we'll just give it some of these radial ones. One thing I really like about this game, it's got this symmetry tool and the snap tool, so it allows you to just snap on, and you see there it's going to put 4 in a nice symmetrical line around our spacecraft, and there we go. So our 4 RCS thrusters, they will help keep us stable and will help us move in space. They're not very good in the atmosphere, they're not for that, therefore in space where they help. Alright, now we're going to put our main lift-off stage. So I'm going to go back to propulsion. I'm going to find some tanks. I'm going to use one of these, and just one. You don't need much lift. A lot of people go OTT by putting like 10 fuel tanks and stuff like that on, thinking they need all this fuel to get out the orbit, and then they can't actually lift off because it's too heavy. Already we're going a little bit OTT. This craft could probably get to the moon and back. what we're building here. It's already going a little bit over the top just for an orbital flight. We don't want to add really too much more onto it. And this, we're going to have this with a vectorable engine. Actually, we might not. We might. Well, that's the vectorable one anyway. We might give it this one just to give it some thrust, because it's not really going to need to be moving around too much. Yeah, we'll go with that. And we're just going to give it two boosters, because already this craft is OTT. In fact, we might be able to just launch it like that. No, it will give us some boosters. So we're going to go to structural again. I'm going to find some radial decouplers. These are nice ones. Let's use these. We're only going to want 2. We'll place them kind of in line with the RCS. It doesn't really matter too much, just looks nicer that way. So we'll go like this, and we'll put them there. And then we go to propulsion. We'll get 2 more of these tanks. Stick them on, head on, like that. There we go. This is looking pretty neat, pretty nice. They're actually in line. I didn't actually go for that, but sure, why not? And we will give them these engines as well. These ones, no, these ones. We'll give them these engines. This should definitely get us into space. The only thing left is to give it some structural support. Probably you don't need this actually for this rocket, but we're going to do it anyway, just to be sure. This thing basically stops the rocket wobbling around, and it can be really damn useful. So we're just going to go like this, and there we go. This is going to be nicely put together. You can see, because it's a symmetry mode, it's done exactly the same thing on the other side, so that's nice and symmetrical, and it's all done. The one other thing we're going to do is we're going to set up a line. We're going to set up like a little tube which drains fuel from these 2 outer tanks onto this inner tank. So when these tanks, when we're going to have all 3 of these engines are firing, but this engine's actually only going to start using up the fuel in this tank when these 2 tanks are empty. So it's just a little bit of helpfulness that way. There we go. So that's now going to be draining from fuel from this into this. Very important, guys, when you're actually placing these fuel lines, they go from the thing you first placed them to the second one. So if I actually did it like that, although it looked connected, that would actually be draining the fuel from this middle tank into these outer tanks. That's not what we want. We want to do the other way around. So we want to go from there and into there. That drains from this tank into that tank, and from this tank into that tank. I think we're ready to go. You can add some more aerodynamics. Actually, we are going to add some more aerodynamics. I almost forgot. We're going to add some winglets. These are fine. And we're just going to stick them on there. This is going to help us in our air. When our rocket's in the air, it's going to give it some little bit of turning speed there. It's not going to help us in space, but it's going to help us in the atmosphere. You can put these little caps here on top of these things. I don't bother, it doesn't really add much speed, and in fact, you don't really want to pick up too much speed anyway, because you don't want to be too inefficient with your fuel. Honestly, it's not really much of a problem. It actually hinders you more than it helps you, because it adds a little bit of weight. It's just unnecessary, to be honest. Alright, so this rocket is good to go. I'm going to call this the Orbiter. And the only thing left to do now, other than save this rocket, is to make sure all our staging is correct. See there, every time you hit space, you go from one stage to another. So the first time we hit space, we're going to get these two engines firing. And then the second time we hit space, we get those, and the third time we get that. That's not what we want. We want all three of these engines to fire at the same time. So we're going to drag that down to there, that's fine. So now, the first time we hit space, all three of these engines are going to fire. And then the second time we're going to hit that, that's fine, because these two are going to drop off, leaving just this middle bit here. That's good, we want that. Then when this runs out, we want it to separate from here, so we want that decoupler there. Which if I highlight it there, you can see it on the staging. So that's fine as well, that's all good. And then we want this engine to fire, yep, no problem. And one thing we don't want is for this to decouple onto the parachute to open at the same time, so we're just going to add another stage and drag that decoupler down. And there we go, that rocket's good to go. I'm going to save that again, because I'm not sure if that makes a difference with the staging. I think it does, I think it saves the staging. So yeah, let's get this thing on the launch pad. Now, we're on the launch pad, when it loads. Yeah, okay. There we are. When Jebediah's face loads in, that's when we know we're good. Okay. Now, you can actually get stability things to hold this craft up. We're not going to bother. But this is just going to be a pretty simple flight. And yeah, I'll probably end the episode here actually, guys. Yeah. So, I'm going to end the episode, and then when we come back, we're going to start our flight into space. So, thanks for watching, and this has been the first episode of Kerbal Space Program. Hope you enjoyed. Goodbye.